I know you chose him. That was cruel. I never expected this from either of you.
The wrench slipped from my grease-stained fingers as my daughter's voice cut through the silence like a blade through flesh. Dad, you're pathetic. Mom deserves better than some loser who still thinks it's 1985. I froze beneath the hood of Mrs. Peterson's ancient Buick, my heart hammering against my ribs. Through the thin ceiling of my garage, I could hear every word of the argument raging in our kitchen above. "Samantha, please!" My wife Erica's voice carried down, strained and defensive. "Your father works hard." "For what? This dump?" Sam's laugh was cruel, learned from someone else. "Uncle Dale built an empire while Dad's still changing oil filters. At least Dale knows how to treat a woman right." The wrench clattered to the concrete floor. Dale. My brother's name in my daughter's mouth tasted like poison in the air. I wiped my hands on my coveralls and climbed the narrow stairs connecting my shop to our house. The Forrest family auto repair business had been my father's dream, passed down to me when he died 10 years ago. Dale got the real estate investments and the college fund. I got the grease and the headaches. The kitchen fell silent as I entered. Erica stood by the sink, her real estate blazer perfectly pressed despite the late hour. At 42, she still turned heads, her auburn hair catching the overhead light. Sam sat at the breakfast bar, 19 and home from college for the weekend, her face flushed with righteous anger. "Evening, ladies," I said, forcing a smile. "Discussing my many failures again?" Erica's green eyes flashed. "Nick, don't start." "Start what? I just came up for a beer." I opened the refrigerator, noting how it had been reorganized. Again, everything in its proper place, just like Erica preferred, just like Dale would approve of. Sam's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and smiled, a real smile, not the grimace she reserved for me. "I have to go. Meeting friends." "It's almost midnight," I said. "I'm 19, Dad. I don't need a curfew from someone who can't even keep his own wife happy." The words hit like a physical blow. Sam grabbed her purse and headed for the door, pausing only to kiss Erica's cheek. "Tell Dale I said hi when you see him tomorrow." The front door slammed. Erica and I stood in the sudden quiet, the hum of the refrigerator the only sound between us. "She's just stressed about school," Erica said finally. "Is she?" I studied my wife's face, looking for tells. After 20 years of marriage, I knew when she was lying, the slight tightening around her eyes, the way she touched her throat. Or is there something else I should know about? "I don't know what you mean." "Dale seems to come up in conversation a lot lately." Erica turned back to the sink, scrubbing a dish that was already clean. "He's your brother, Nick. He's family." Family, right. The golden boy who'd charmed his way through life while I worked with my hands. Dale with his real estate empire and his BMW and his perfect smile. Dale who'd somehow convinced our parents to split their assets unevenly because Nicholas has the business and Dale needs a head start. I grabbed a beer and headed back downstairs. The garage felt safer, more honest. Cars didn't lie. They broke down for real reasons, and you could fix them with the right tools and enough patience. But as I worked, Sam's words echoed in my head. Dale knows how to treat a woman right. How would she know that? I found Erica's purse on the kitchen counter the next morning. She'd left early for another client meeting, becoming increasingly busy with her real estate career. The purse sat open, and something caught my eye. A second phone, sleek and black, tucked behind her wallet. My hands shook as I powered it on. No lock screen. The text messages opened like a door to hell. "Last night was incredible. I can't stop thinking about you. Dale. When can we be together, really together? Erica. Soon. Nick's too stupid to notice anything. Always has been. Dale." The phone slipped from my numb fingers, clattering on the tile floor. 20 years of marriage. 20 years of building a life together, and my brother had been tearing it down from the inside. I scrolled through weeks of messages, months, planning meetings at the Sleepy Inn Motel on Route 9, discussing my failures as a husband, a father, a man, laughing about how oblivious I was. "The business is struggling anyway," Dale had written. "When Nick finally gives up, I'll buy him out for pennies. Then we can start fresh, you and me." My vision blurred with rage. I'd suspected Erica was distant, but I'd blamed work stress, middle-aged drift. Never this. Never my own brother. The garage door opener rumbled. Erica's Honda pulled into the driveway. I slipped the phone back into her purse and retreated to my shop, mind racing. She came down 20 minutes later, showered and changed into jeans and a sweater that hugged her curves. "I'm going grocery shopping. Need anything?" "Just the truth." I said, without looking up from the engine I was rebuilding. What's that supposed to mean? I straightened, meeting her eyes. Where were you this morning, Erica? Really? Her hand moved to her throat. Tell number one. I told you, client meeting. At 7 a.m. on a Saturday? The real estate market is competitive, Nick. You wouldn't understand. There it was, the dismissal, the subtle put-down that had become her signature move over the past year. You're right, I said. I'm just a simple mechanic. What would I know about hard work? She sighed, the sound heavy with exasperation. I didn't mean it like that. How did you mean it? I mean, she gestured around the garage. This isn't enough anymore, Nick. I've grown. I have ambitions beyond this little town. I need more. More what? More money? More status? I paused, watching her face. More Dale? Her eyes widened, just for a second. Tell number two. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't you? We stared at each other across the oil-stained concrete. 20 years of shared history hung between us. Sam's first steps, family vacations, quiet Sunday mornings in bed, all of it crumbling like rust. I'm going shopping, she said finally. I waited until her car disappeared down Maple Street, then grabbed my keys. The Sleepy Inn sat on the outskirts of town, a relic from the 50s with peeling paint and a neon sign that flickered day and night. I'd driven past it 1,000 times without really seeing it. Now I parked across the street and waited. At 2:30, Dale's silver BMW pulled into the lot. My stomach clenched as I watched my brother step out, checking his watch. He wore a polo shirt and khakis, looking like he'd stepped off a golf course. At 44, he'd kept himself in shape, his dark hair barely touched with gray. 15 minutes later, Erica's Honda appeared. I watched my wife of 20 years walk across the motel parking lot and into my brother's arms. They kissed like teenagers, her hands tangling in his hair. He pressed her against the BMW, and she laughed, a sound I hadn't heard in months. Room 237. I memorized the number as they disappeared inside. The betrayal cut deeper than I'd expected. Not just the affair, but the joy on her face. The way she moved with him, alive in a way she hadn't been with me in years. I sat in my truck for 2 hours, watching that door, imagining what was happening behind it. When they finally emerged, disheveled and glowing, I felt something cold and hard settle in my chest. Dale kissed her goodbye and climbed into his BMW. As he backed out of the parking space, I stepped out of my truck and walked directly into his path. He hit the brakes, his face going white through the windshield. I approached his driver's side window with my hands in my pockets, smiling. He rolled down the window. Nick, what are you doing here? Could ask you the same thing, brother. His eyes darted toward the motel where Erica was fumbling with her car keys, panic written across her features. I was just meeting a client. In a motel room? Nick, listen. No, you, listen. I leaned closer, my voice dropping to a whisper. I know everything. The phone, the messages, all of it. Dale's face hardened. The fake concern melted away, revealing something uglier underneath. So what are you going to do about it? He asked. The question caught me off guard. No apology, no shame. Just cold calculation. What am I going to do? I repeated. Face it, Nick. You were never good enough for her. I am. He shifted the car into drive. First, I got the better half of Dad's estate. Now I'm getting your wife. Maybe it's time you accepted that some people are just born winners. He drove away, leaving me standing in the motel parking lot with my hands clenched into fists. Erica had already fled. That night, I sat in my garage with a beer and a legal pad making lists, assets, accounts, weaknesses. Dale thought I was stupid, that I'd roll over and take it like I had our whole lives. He was wrong. Sunday morning brought rain and a house that felt like a mausoleum. Erica moved through our kitchen with careful politeness, making coffee and toast as if yesterday hadn't happened, as if I hadn't seen her pressed against my brother's car, laughing with pure joy. Sam called, she said without looking at me. She's staying at school this weekend, after all. Convenient. Erica's hand tightened on her coffee mug. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. Just seems like everyone's avoiding home lately. I watched her over my newspaper, cataloging the small changes I'd missed. New earrings, diamond studs that cost more than I made in a week, a manicure with perfectly shaped nails, not the practical short ones she'd worn for years. Subtle makeup on a Sunday morning when we had nowhere to go. She was dressing for someone else now. I have to show a house this afternoon, she said. On Sunday. The client has a busy schedule. Another lie. I'd checked her real estate company's website. No Sunday showings listed, but I didn't call her on it, not yet. Instead, I spent the morning in my shop, working on Mrs. Peterson's Buick and thinking. Dale had always been the smart one, the charmer, the golden boy who could talk his way out of anything. But he'd made one crucial mistake. He'd underestimated me. At noon, I drove to O'Malley's pub on Main Street. The lunch crowd was thin, a few regulars nursing beers and watching football on the ancient TV above the bar. I took a stool next to Tommy Rodriguez, who ran the hardware store down the street. "Nick, haven't seen you in forever." Tommy clapped me on the shoulder. "How's business?" "Could be better. You know how it is." "Tell me about it." "These big box stores are killing us, little guys." He signaled the bartender for another round. "At least your brother's doing well. Saw him at the country club last week talking about some big development deal." I kept my expression neutral. "Dale's always got something cooking. Smart man, diversified portfolio, multiple revenue streams. That's the way to do it." Tommy leaned closer, his voice dropping. "Between you and me, I heard he's been sniffing around the old Morrison property. Prime real estate if the zoning goes through. Morrison property. 300 acres on the lake, currently zoned agricultural. If it went residential, it would be worth millions. And Dale was positioning himself to cash in." "Interesting," I said. "Of course, these things take time. Lots of palms to grease, if you know what I mean." Tommy winked. "Good thing Dale's got connections on the planning board." Connections, of course. Dale had always been good at making friends in useful places, but connections could be a weakness too, if you knew how to exploit them. I finished my beer and headed home. Erica's car was gone. Another client meeting, no doubt. I used the time to search the house more thoroughly. In her jewelry box, I found a credit card I'd never seen before. Statements showed charges at expensive restaurants, lingerie shops, a hotel in Boston, all dates that corresponded with her supposed business trips. In her closet, pushed to the back behind winter coats, I discovered shopping bags from stores we couldn't afford, silk blouses, designer shoes, a cocktail dress with the tags still on. Someone was funding her new lifestyle. The home computer yielded more treasures, email exchanges with a divorce attorney, preliminary asset valuations, a private investigator's report on my finances and business prospects. They weren't just having an affair, they were planning my complete destruction. The front door slammed. I quickly closed the browser and headed downstairs, finding Erica in the kitchen with grocery bags. "How was the showing?" I asked. "Good, very promising." She unpacked expensive wine, imported cheese, ingredients for meals I didn't recognize. "I might have to travel more in the coming weeks. Big opportunities opening up." "That's great, honey. I'm proud of you." She looked surprised at the genuine warmth in my voice. For a moment, her mask slipped, and I saw a flicker of the woman I'd married. Then it was gone. "I'm going to start dinner," she said. "I'll be in the shop." But instead of working, I sat at my desk and opened my laptop. If Dale and Erica wanted to play games, I needed to understand the rules. The planning board meeting minutes were public record. Dale's name appeared frequently over the past 6 months, always in connection with zoning requests and development proposals. He'd been busy building his empire while I fixed carburetors and changed oil. But empires had weak points. I dug deeper, cross-referencing property records, business licenses, loan applications. A pattern emerged. Dale was leveraged to the hilt, borrowing against future profits on deals that hadn't closed yet. His cash flow depended on a delicate balance of timing and regulatory approval. One significant delay could bring it all crashing down. Monday morning, I called in sick to my own shop and drove to the county courthouse. Public records were a beautiful thing, transparent, searchable, and completely legal to access. Dale's business empire looked impressive from the outside, but the paperwork told a different story. Over-leveraged properties, balloon payments coming due, partnerships with questionable investors. He was walking a tightrope, and he knew it. That afternoon, I visited 3 different banks where Dale had loans. I didn't lie or misrepresent anything. I simply asked questions about investment opportunities, mentioned concerns about market stability, wondered aloud about the wisdom of agricultural rezoning in the current economic climate. Bankers were nervous creatures by nature. Plant enough seeds of doubt, and they started asking their own questions. By Wednesday, I'd made contact with every member of the planning board. Not to lobby against Dale. That would have been too obvious. Instead, I positioned myself as a concerned citizen interested in responsible development. I asked thoughtful questions about environmental impact, traffic studies, infrastructure costs. I made myself visible, memorable. a voice of reasonable caution in a sea of rubber stamp approvals. Thursday evening, Dale called. Nick, we need to talk. About what? You know damn well about what. What's this I hear about you asking questions around town? I leaned back in my office chair, feet up on the desk. I'm a curious guy, Dale. Always have been. Cut the crap. I know you know about Erica and me. The casual admission hit like a slap. No pretense, no apology. Just matter-of-fact ownership of my life's destruction. Do you now? The question is, what do you want? Money? I can make this worth your while. You want to buy me off? I want to make this easy for everyone. Erica's filing for divorce next week. You can fight it and drag this through the courts, or you can be smart about it. Take a settlement, start fresh somewhere else. Somewhere else? This town's too small for both of us, Nick. Always has been. Time you accepted that. The line went dead. I sat in the silence of my shop, surrounded by the tools and machinery that had been my life's work. Dale was right about one thing. This town was too small, but I wasn't the one who was leaving. Friday morning brought the divorce papers, delivered by a courier who looked apologetic as he handed me the envelope. Erica had left early for work, avoiding the confrontation. Even now, she couldn't face me directly. I read through the documents with my morning coffee. She wanted everything. The house, half the business, alimony, and full custody of Sam, despite our daughter being 19. The settlement would leave me with nothing but debt and a garage full of tools. My phone buzzed with a text from Sam. Mom told me about time you two stopped pretending. Don't expect me to visit your apartment. Not, I'm sorry this happened, or, are you okay, Dad? Just casual dismissal, as if 20 years of marriage dissolving was inevitable and probably my fault. I drove to the bank where I'd kept the business accounts for 15 years. Janet Morrison, the branch manager, greeted me with professional sympathy. I heard about the divorce, Nick. I'm sorry. Thanks, Janet. I need to make some changes to the accounts. Of course. What can I help you with? I handed her a stack of paperwork I'd prepared. I want to transfer the business assets to a new LLC, restructure the loans, and establish separate operating accounts. She frowned as she reviewed the documents. This is pretty complex, Nick. Are you sure you want to do this without a lawyer? I've done my homework. Everything's legal. And it was. Dale might have underestimated me, but I'd learned a few things about business law over the years. The auto shop was mine, inherited from our father with clear title. Erica had no legal claim to it, despite what her divorce papers suggested. By noon, I'd moved every business asset into a new corporate structure that she couldn't touch. The personal accounts were different. Those would be split in the divorce. But the business belonged to me. Next stop? The planning board office. Mr. Forrest. Sandra Chen, the zoning administrator, looked up from her desk with surprise. What brings you here? I wanted to submit a formal comment on the Morrison property rezoning request. She accepted my carefully prepared statement, 5 pages of environmental concerns, traffic impact analysis, and questions about infrastructure costs. All reasonable, all requiring official responses. This is very thorough, she said, scanning the document. We'll need to address these issues before the next hearing. I understand the process can take time. Oh yes, especially with concerns this detailed. Could push the decision back months. Months. Dale's balloon payments were due in 60 days. I spent the afternoon at Tommy's hardware store, making casual conversation with customers. Word traveled fast in a small town, and I wanted to control the narrative. Shame about Nick and Erica, I heard Mrs. Patterson say to her neighbor, though I always wondered about all those late-night meetings she's been having. Business meetings, you mean? The neighbor asked. That's what she called them. Though business meetings don't usually require new lingerie from Victoria's Secret. I smiled to myself. Small towns had their advantages. That evening, Erica came home with takeout Chinese food and a brittle smile. I thought we could have dinner together, she said. Talk about things civilly. How civilized of you. We sat at the kitchen table like strangers, picking at lo mein and avoiding eye contact. The papers are just a starting point, she said finally. We can negotiate. Can we? I don't want this to get ugly, Nick. Little late for that, don't you think? She set down her chopsticks. I know you're angry. You have every right to be. But we can handle this like adults. Adults? I nodded thoughtfully. Is that what adults do? Screw their brother-in-law in motel rooms? Her face flushed. Nick, or maybe adults plan their spouse's financial destruction while pretending to work late? You don't understand the situation. Enlighten me. She stood and walked to the window, her back to me. We grew apart, Nick. It happens. People change. People change or people get seduced by money and status? That's not fair, isn't it? When did you start caring about designer clothes and expensive wine? When did our life together become so inadequate? She turned around, and I saw tears in her eyes. For a moment, I thought she might tell the truth. Dale makes me feel alive again, she said quietly. When I'm with him, I remember who I used to be before I got trapped in this small-town life. Trapped? I didn't mean... Yes, you did. I stood up, suddenly tired of the whole conversation. You meant exactly that. This house, this town, me? We're all just obstacles to the life you think you deserve. I want more than this, Nick. Is that so wrong? No. But destroying everything we built together to get it? Yeah, that's wrong. I left her standing in the kitchen and went down to my shop. The familiar smell of motor oil and metal soothed my nerves. This was real, honest work that produced tangible results. My phone rang. Dale's number. You son of a witch, he said without preamble. Evening, brother. I know what you're doing, the planning board, the banks, all of it. I don't know what you mean. You're trying to sabotage my deals. I'm exercising my rights as a concerned citizen. This is my livelihood, Nick. Funny, I thought Erica was your livelihood now. Silence on the line, then, you can't stop this. The divorce will go through and Erica will be with me. All you're doing is making it harder on yourself. Maybe, or maybe I'm just getting started. What's that supposed to mean? Guess you'll find out. I hung up and went back to work. Mrs. Peterson's Buick was finally running smoothly, the engine purring like a contented cat. Some things could be fixed with the right tools and enough patience. Others required a different approach. Saturday morning brought unexpected visitors. I was working under the hood of a '98 Camaro when I heard voices in my driveway. Through the garage windows, I saw 3 familiar figures. My former friends Mike Chen, Robert Taylor, and James Wilson. We'd been tight since high school, meeting for poker twice a month and fishing trips every summer. Had been tight. I wiped my hands and walked outside. Gentlemen, what brings you by? Mike stepped forward, his expression uncomfortable. We need to talk, Nick. About what you're doing to Dale. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. What am I doing to Dale? Robert shifted his weight. Come on, man. We know about the planning board thing, the questions you've been asking around town. I'm exercising my civic duties. You're trying to destroy your brother's business, James said bluntly, over a woman. The casual dismissal of my marriage as a woman hit harder than expected. These men had been at my wedding, had held Sam as a baby, had shared countless beers and conversations over 20 years. Did Dale send you? I asked. Nobody sent us, Mike said. We're here as your friends. Friends. Look, we get it. You're hurt. Erica cheated, and that sucks. But this vendetta thing you've got going, it's not healthy, man. I looked at each of them in turn. Mike, who ran a successful insurance agency. Robert, a lawyer with political ambitions. James, who owned 3 restaurants in town, all of them part of Dale's social circle now. Let me ask you something, I said. If your wives were screwing your brothers, what would you do? They exchanged glances. Robert cleared his throat. We'd handle it privately. Like adults. Adults. Everyone keeps using that word. Because that's what this is about, James said. Being mature enough to accept that marriages end. Moving on with dignity. Dignity? I nodded slowly. Is that what Dale had when he was screwing my wife behind my back? Dignity? That's between you and them, Mike said. But trying to destroy his livelihood, that's just petty revenge. And what would you call 20 years of marriage vows? Just words? Nick, listen, Robert started. No, you listen. My voice hardened. I gave that woman everything. I worked 60-hour weeks to build a life for us. I put Sam through private school, paid for dance lessons and summer camps and college tuition. I fixed every broken thing in our house, supported Erica's career changes, never once complained when she decided she was too good for the man who built her comfortable life. They stood silent, avoiding eye contact. And my brother, my own blood, I lent him money when he was starting out. I vouched for him with contractors when he needed references. I invited him to every family gathering, every holiday, every celebration. We know you're hurt, Mike began. Hurt? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. I'm destroyed. My wife of 20 years has been planning my financial ruin while screwing my brother in cheap motels. My daughter thinks I'm a loser who deserves what he gets. And now my friends, my supposed friends, show up to tell me I should handle it with dignity. That's not what we're saying, Robert protested, isn't it? Because it sounds like you're telling me to roll over and take it. Let Dale have my wife, my family, my self-respect. Just accept it like a good little sufferer. James stepped forward. You're being dramatic, Nick. People get divorced. It happens. People get divorced. They don't usually conspire with family members to destroy their spouse's livelihood in the process. What are you talking about? I pulled out my phone and showed them screenshots of Erica's emails to the divorce attorney. Plans to claim half the auto shop's value, force a sale, leave me with nothing but debt. She's not just leaving me, I said. She's trying to destroy me, with Dale's help and advice. They read in silence. I watched their faces change as they absorbed the details. Jesus, Mike muttered. Still think I should handle this with dignity? Robert handed back the phone. This is more complicated than we thought. No crap. But Nick, James said carefully, what you're doing to Dale's business, what about it? Those zoning delays, the questions you're raising with his lenders, all completely legal, all completely justified. If Dale's business can't survive basic due diligence, maybe it shouldn't exist. That's not the point, Mike said. The point is you're using public forums to settle a private grudge. And he's using my wife to destroy my private life. Seems fair to me. We stood in awkward silence, 20 years of friendship crumbling like rust. We can't support this, Robert said finally. What Dale and Erica did was wrong, but this vendetta, then don't support it. I turned back toward the garage. But don't come here and tell me how to handle my own destruction. Nick, wait. I stopped, but didn't turn around. We're still your friends, Mike said. But we can't watch you destroy yourself with revenge. Then don't watch. I heard their car doors slam, engines start, gravel crunch under tires. When the sounds faded, I was alone again with the honest smell of motor oil and the reliable logic of internal combustion engines. That afternoon, my phone rang constantly. Dale, Erica, even Sam calling from college. I let them all go to voicemail. The messages painted a clear picture. My former friends had reported back. The pressure was mounting for me to be reasonable, to accept reality, to move on with dignity. But they'd made one crucial mistake. They'd revealed their true loyalties. When forced to choose between a cheating brother and a betrayed husband, between a gold-digging wife and a faithful spouse, they'd chosen money and status over right and wrong. Fine. If I was going to be alone in this fight, I'd make it count. I spent the evening researching Dale's business partners, his investors, his lenders. The internet was a beautiful thing. Corporate filings, property records, court documents, all available with a few clicks. Dale's empire was built on relationships and reputation. He was the golden boy, the charmer, the man everyone wanted to do business with. But reputations could be fragile things. The annual Founders Day festival filled Main Street with the smell of funnel cakes and the sound of children's laughter. I hadn't planned to attend, but when I saw the crowd gathering around the community stage, inspiration struck. Dale stood at the microphone, resplendent in a navy blazer and khakis, addressing the crowd about his latest development project. Behind him, a banner proclaimed, Forest Development, building tomorrow's community today. And with the Morrison property development, we'll bring 300 new jobs to our town, along with modern amenities and increased tax revenue for our schools and infrastructure. Scattered applause from the audience. I noticed several planning board members in the front row, nodding approvingly. This is exactly the kind of forward-thinking investment our community needs, Dale continued. Too often, we let fear of change hold us back from progress. I pushed through the crowd toward the stage. Dale's eyes found mine, and his confident smile faltered for just a moment. Of course, he said, recovering quickly. Responsible development requires careful planning and community input. We welcome all questions and concerns. I have a question. The crowd turned as I stepped closer to the stage. Dale's grip tightened on the microphone. Nick, great to see you here, brother. Brother. He actually said it with a straight face. I was wondering about the environmental impact studies, I said loudly enough for everyone to hear. Have those been completed? We're working closely with all regulatory agencies. That's not what I asked. Have the studies been completed? Dale's smile became strained. The process is ongoing, so that's a no. I turned to address the crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, my brother wants to build 300 homes on wetland property without completing required environmental studies. Murmurs rippled through the audience. Sandra Chen from the planning board looked uncomfortable. Now, Nick, Dale said, his voice taking on a patronizing tone. I know you've been going through some personal difficulties lately, but this isn't the appropriate forum. Personal difficulties? I laughed. Is that what we're calling it? The crowd was fully engaged now, sensing drama. Dale's face had gone pale. Perhaps we should discuss this privately, he said. Why? You seem comfortable discussing my personal life publicly. In fact, you've been discussing it intimately with my wife for months. Gasps from the audience. Someone's phone was out, recording. Nick, please. Please what? Please don't mention that you've been screwing Erica in the Sleepy Inn motel every Tuesday and Thursday while I was working to pay her credit card bills? The crowd erupted. Dale stepped back from the microphone as if it had become radioactive. Please don't mention that you two have been planning my financial destruction while pretending to care about family. That's enough. Dale grabbed for the microphone. I was faster. 20 years of working with my hands had kept me in better shape than his country club lifestyle. Or maybe I shouldn't mention that your entire development empire is built on loans you can't repay, using my wife's inside information about planning board decisions to manipulate property values. You're insane! Dale lunged at me. I sidestepped easily. He stumbled, his perfect hair falling into his eyes, his blazer torn at the shoulder. Am I? Should we call Erica up here? Ask her to explain the credit card statements for lingerie purchases and hotel rooms? The emails to divorce attorneys discussing how to hide marital assets? Dale swung at me. I caught his wrist and twisted, sending him to his knees on the stage. 20 years, I said into the microphone, my voice carrying over the stunned crowd. 20 years I supported this woman, loved her, built a life with her. And my own brother, my own blood, decided it would be fun to destroy that for his own entertainment. I released Dale's wrist and stepped back. He struggled to his feet, his face flushed with humiliation. You want to know about character? I asked the crowd. About the kind of men you're trusting with your community's future? These are people who destroy families for sport. Police sirens wailed in the distance. Someone had called for help. Nick Forrest. Officer Margaret Santos pushed through the crowd. Step away from the microphone. I raised my hands. Just exercising my First Amendment rights, Maggie. You're disturbing the peace. Am I, or am I disturbing something else? Dale had found his voice again. Arrest him. He attacked me. I turned to face him directly. Did I? Because it looked to me like you took a swing and missed, just like you've been missing the point your whole life. You son of a witch. No, Dale, you're the son of a witch. I'm just the guy who finally decided to stop taking it. Officer Santos stepped between us. That's enough from both of you. The crowd was buzzing with excitement, phones capturing every moment. This would be all over social media within the hour. Ma'am, I said to Officer Santos, I'd like to file charges for infidelity and alienation of affection. Nick, it's still illegal in this state. Look it up. Dale's face went white. Infidelity charges would destroy his reputation, his business relationships, his standing in the community. You can't prove anything, he said. I pulled out my phone and held it up. Want to bet? I've got photos, text messages, credit card statements, hotel receipts. 20 years of marriage gives you access to a lot of financial records. Those are private, not anymore. Officer Santos looked between us, clearly out of her depth. I think everyone needs to calm down and... Officer Santos, called a voice from the crowd. Mrs. Patterson, the town gossip, had pushed to the front. I saw them together myself. Dale and Erica Forrest, at the Sleepy Inn last Tuesday. More voices joined in. The dam had burst. A year's worth of whispered suspicions and half-seen encounters poured out. Dale looked around desperately, seeing his carefully constructed reputation crumbling in real time. This is ridiculous, he said. Nick's having a mental breakdown. You can't believe... I can believe my own eyes, called out Tom Rodriguez. Saw you two at Romano's last month, holding hands like teenagers. And I saw Erica leaving the motel, added Janet Morrison from the bank. Middle of the afternoon on a Tuesday. What kind of real estate meeting happens at the Sleepy Inn? Dale's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. This wasn't how golden boys were supposed to fall. You want to destroy my family? I asked him. Fine, but I'm taking you down with me. I turned to address the crowd one final time. Ladies and gentlemen, This is what progress looks like in our community. Men who lie to their families, cheat with their brothers' wives, and build business empires on fraud and deception. This is who you're trusting with your future. Officer Santos grabbed my arm. Mr. Forrest, you need to come with me. Of course. I smiled at Dale one last time. See you in court, brother. As they led me away, I could hear the crowd's excited chatter, the click of phone cameras, the buzz of a scandal that would define this town for years to come. Dale stood alone on the stage, his perfect life in ruins around him. His development deals would collapse within days. No bank would touch him now, no investor would trust him, no planning board would approve his projects. Erica's real estate career was finished too. Who would trust their biggest investment to a woman who couldn't even be faithful to her own husband? And my friends, my former friends who'd chosen sides against me, they'd have to live with their choice, knowing they'd supported infidelity and betrayal over loyalty and truth. The police car pulled away from Main Street, leaving behind the wreckage of my old life. But as I watched the festival crowd dispersing, buzzing with the biggest scandal in years, I felt something I hadn't experienced in months. Peace. They'd wanted to destroy me quietly, privately, with lawyers and paperwork and social pressure. Instead, I dragged their betrayal into the sunlight where everyone could see it. Some fires burned clean.